Hi everybody, and I am live for now. I might have my guest join me in just a little while. Can't quite get in touch at the moment, but c'est la vie. That's all good. We might get in contact in a second. Oh, I think I might have word now from my guest actually. Yeah, he says he's going to be here in a couple of minutes, so we'll just kind of chat away here for a sec. To be honest, I'm going to have my tea. If I could tell you about today's news as well, I don't know any. I haven't really bothered because I just kind of want to focus with Cahersiveen. So my guest can join away there anyway in a sec. How's everybody in the chat? Let me see. I've put everything on the screen in front of me now, so I don't have to be looking to the side, which is kind of good actually. It makes it look more normal. Everybody, all the best people are in the chat. Tara O'Reilly, Chopper, the Green Room. All good. You can throw an AMA at me in the meantime if you want to. My favorite. Ask me my favorite this or my favorite that. I don't know. Is it a cheap game I'm playing here? Something to keep me going anyway. Or whatever you like, really, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to this, actually. It's going to be good just to hear about Cahersiveen, because like I've told you lads before, I'm just going to write, actually, back to my guy here. Like I've told you before, I know nothing about it. I kind of took my head out of the asylum industry. I took my head out of it a little bit. I kind of went overkill on it. And it's a lot of work. So some other people have done that, but yeah. So I'm starting from scratch on Cahersiveen. Starting from scratch there. So it's nice to actually just have someone on and just say, okay, tell me from the start what happened, which is basically what I'm kind of going for. Okay, I'm getting questions here. These are funny. Have we many viewers? Oh, 66. Questions. There's how many pull-ups can I do? I'm useless at pull-ups. I'm decent enough at other things, other physical fitness things, but pull-ups I'm useless at. I can't swim. I could run like 10, 15 kilometers, whatever, kind of generally without being fit, even without being in practice. Running, I can do like a duck to water, but I can't swim. Well, I can swim, but if I do a length of a pool is the equivalent of like a 10K run for me in terms of how exhausting it is. So it's just different type of body or something like that. And pull-ups as well, for whatever reason, I'm just really, really bad at. Press-ups, I can do a few press-ups. What else have we got? I think that's pretty much it on the questions. Someone says can't swim. No, I did not say I can't swim. I can swim. I'm not very fit at it. I don't take well to it. It tires me out more than like any other exercise does. But I do. It's nice though. I was looking for a Desmond Fennell article because yesterday I mentioned intellectuals, public intellectuals, and I left out. I basically didn't have any to hand, and there was a guy I was trying to think of, and I found his name today. His name is Desmond Fennell. He's a very interesting intellectual Irish guy. I think he's in his 90s now, but he has a lot to say, a lot of interesting things to say. You could say Angela Nagel. I don't know if I mentioned her yesterday. She's kind of a pop intellectual or something like that. I mean, who else have we got? Yeah, no, just a bit more. And I could rant about Angela Nagel for a while because she's an interesting thing, an interesting personality, where she stands in the kind of crossroads of politics, and how she's seen and all of that. I think there's more questions, more kind of like general questions coming in here. I want to get to these two. Meditation. No, I've never really meditated. Again, when people talk about meditation, I find if you look at, like, if you go for a run, if I go for a run or do something like that, I feel similar to what people who meditate describe. I'm not talking about the hardcore, like Russell Brand type of, whatever that is, Indian guru type of stuff. But just for me, my form of meditating, I meditate in different ways. The thing of the classic form of meditation. I've never really tried properly. So I don't know, I can't comment on it. But if by meditation it means relaxing and kind of thinking and grounding yourself or whatever, I have other ways of doing that. Like running or reading or this or that. Someone said favorite book at the moment. Well, I suppose I could say Submission, because I'm hoping to do my review for that possibly tomorrow night. I better keep my see for my guest here now. But so yeah, Submission. I don't want to say I like or dislike the book yet. I'll save that for when I talk about it. But it's just the one that's on my mind, so I'm going to go with that. It's an important book anyway, of some description. And there's another one here I noticed from Green Room. I hear Green Room's a bit of a gamer. Favorite video game. My favorite video game is Grand Theft Auto Vice City. If you were alive when that was released, I'm so old. It was yeah, that's the last game, like game I played, like video game. I enjoyed it immensely, but that's a while back now. I'm sure I could get quickly addicted to that if I had the time and the money to buy the things and all of that. And if you just put one in front of me, they are enjoyable. Like favorite or preferred time in human history that you'd like to have lived in. Let's see. Favorite time I'd like to have lived in. I mean, that's a tough one. Let's say, I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like now, to be honest, because if there was a favorite time I'd like to have lived in, it would be the future. That's the thing that would weird me out about dying, is that is almost just like curiosity. I feel like deprived of curiosity. I'm a curious person. I'd like to know what happens in future. So the past, I don't know, period of time that I'd like to have lived in. All the medical stuff and all that. I don't want to be getting my tooth yanked out by like a horse on a rope or whatever it is. And I'm kind of making that one up. But you know, these kind of rough experiences back in the day, I don't think I'd like too much. I like now, for all its faults. What else have we got going on here? I enjoyed these questions, actually. What about Kevin Myers, public intellectual? I don't know much about him except that he was accused of anti-Semitism and he like covered the Troubles and stuff. Again, I'm not that well read or whatever. Or maybe it's just my age. If I was 30 years older, I might know all about him, but I don't. We have the Don in the chat. The chat's all over the place the way I'm seeing it. Don says, good to see Desmond Fennell getting some props. He was calling out the problems in Ireland decades before. Check out his books. Yeah. I mean, I could talk about a few things. I still am obsessed with the Serbia thing, Serbia, Yugoslavia, and all of that. I don't know, but the really annoying thing is that there's this BBC 5-hour-long documentary that takes us up until like 95 or 96, and then it's just nothing after that. I'm sure there's a couple of books I can order or find, but it's like I mean, speaking of hyper reality, it's like watching a box set, and then there's, you know, part 2 isn't available or whatever. Someone says, "Who am I wearing? Who am I wearing? Who am I wearing?" This is. Can you see it? Because I can't. It's a Donegal brand. If only I could see that. If any of you can kind of get that there, this is going to be a weird like freeze frame for I don't know, someone who doesn't like me to get me doing that. But it's a Donegal what do you call it? Knitter woolen factory place. They hand make or whatever make. I don't know about knitting or wool, but it's like a small little artisan place. They make bully jumpers there in the middle of, I don't know, somewhere a couple of maybe miles away from Slieve League. Way up there anyway in Donegal, just on the side of a road. I was passing by there one day on a trip away, and And I remember driving through, I don't know where I was somewhere in the back arse of Donegal, which is not a criticism. That's a great thing, great place to be. But I was driving through there, and I remember that day it was really cold, and there was driving rain that seemed to be coming in all directions. You could barely drive, when you have wipers on full. And stopped into this place, and it was just kind of quiet. And you could see a lady in the back who's knitting away, has like the machine or whatever it is, I don't know. And it's the whole array of clothes. I absolutely love this one. I'd love to go back to get one or order one. But it's one of my favorite things I own. I'd say I just absolutely love this. But yeah, favorite YouTuber. I don't really have a favorite, I would say. To be honest, I'm just going to write to my guy here, see if he's still around. Sorry, I can't multitask to save my life. I just went off into that there. Forgot I was even streaming almost. But what was I on about? A lot of questions. I'm enjoying this. Favorite sweets. Oh, so it's my favorite YouTuber. My favorite YouTuber. I like a lot. I like Morgoth's videos. I like Millennial Woes. In a way, I might say millennial. It depends on what context you're talking about. A lot of Irish ones as well. You know the ones, but I like Millennial Woes. I think he's an important, almost like a real life literary figure or something like that, but not via book, via this form. Someone had a question there. I liked favorite. Oh, other YouTubers I like. I like some stuff that I don't know what you expect me to like, but one is it's called the Flight Channel, and it's addictive. It's about airline disasters. I want to see how many people I have watching. Does anyone enjoy this? Good. 100 people here. Good to have you. But excuse me. But he this Flight Channel thing. It's basically airline disasters, like famous plane crashes or any plane crash, analyzed by this person who does the computer graphics or whatever you call it to reenact it, and they go through all the details. And maybe it's just me, but I'm into it, and it's very suspenseful and just very interesting to see how it all works. Those videos are like 10 minutes long, and I'll just watch one after another. They're kind of addictive to me. Also, there's a guy, he's called Captain. I like a lot of stuff to do with aviation. I don't know. I have no special involvement or experience with it. It's just one of these little things that piques my interest. What else is there? There's one as well. It's weird. It's a bit silly and a bit weird, but it's called 4WD Action, I think it is. And so I don't know if you're expecting me to talk about like political stuff, but it's better for me to talk about something else. These guys do. It's a bit like patronizing, almost like it's almost made for teenagers or something. But they're these Aussie guys who do up 4-wheel drives. So they go on overlanding adventures across Australia, and they're all basically either mechanics or amateur mechanics. They all know their cars, their own vehicles and stuff, and they just talk about they're doing up these things and going in these overland adventures, and there's something very fraternal about it. Watching how the cars get made up and done up and made kind of foolproof and destruction proof is interesting, but it's also just the camping experience. It's kind of very fraternalistic, if that's a word, thing. And what else do I like about it? The kind of self-reliance, I don't know, it's a very masculine thing or very male thing that's appealing to me. For those kind of reasons, it's interesting. Have we had many other questions in? Since I'm trying to think of other YouTube channels I like. I like watching people get interrogated. I find that interesting. If that sounds weird, that might sound weird. NGO people, will be shuddering when they hear this. But there's like these. I know it's a bit macabre or whatever, but there was the guy in America who was pretty sick. Like he killed his what was his name? I've forgotten his name, but it happened a couple of years ago. It was a big deal at the time. He killed his wife and two kids, and she was pregnant with the third. And I wonder what you're all making of this. Like, but he the cops got there, and they had body cams on, so they took videos of the whole thing when they arrived at the house. He was trying to pass it off like they had just disappeared, and so you get the whole thing in body cams, the whole thing of where he was trying to lie at the start, and then whatever the laws are in America, it's different obviously in Ireland. The entire interrogation process, hours and hours, 2 or 3 days trying to get him to crack and admit it, are somehow available as just something you can watch on YouTube. So you get the whole thing, and just to see the strategies they use to break him down and extract the truth from him, and to see the position he's in is just there's something interesting about that. I don't know. As like sad as it is, that was a horrible situation, obviously. What else have we got here? Question is, someone said Gerald is clearly in aviation something. That flight channel thing is very good. There's also one as well called X Pilot, I think, like X the letter pilot. You know, you can't be watching political stuff all the time. Mary Rose says, am I missing something? Thought we were going to discuss Cahersiveen. Well, hopefully we are. I mean, I'm not sure is my guest going to hop in there. Yeah, but c'est la vie. Hopefully it does. I think we'd all like to hear, or maybe if not, if it's kind of, we could do it another night as well. But I'd be happy to go ahead tonight. So, wait, someone says, interesting, Gerald, but get going on Cahersiveen if you can. That's funny. I can't because I don't know anything about it, and my guest isn't here yet. So I appreciate it, and I know the thing. Should I retitle the video? At this point now, it just couldn't really be couldn't be bothered. Elmo says, yeah, all the political stuff can burn you out. Yeah, you can't focus on that too much. Yeah, what else have I? So Cahersiveen, speaking of that, I mean, the only thing I know about it is that it was kind of done around Paddy's Day when the lockdowns were coming in, the restrictions. So that's pretty snaky to start with. And beyond that, I kind of don't know much. I'm being told here via text that the that it was Rossan Knitwear, Rossan Knitwear Donegal, that I got that jumper at. So that's interesting for years. I'd say they have a website as well. It's worth ordering off them if you have a few quid handy. It's not that expensive, but to order Irish, like, because they are kind of the real deal, like, and the wool is Irish wool as well, Irish sheep. So yeah, for anybody who's waiting for me to talk about Cahersiveen, hopefully we'll get onto it in a sec a bit. But for now, some Tara O'Reilly asked me, do I watch UFC fights? I'll watch the odd one, but I can't imagine being interested in that constantly, like the way, like week in, week out. I might go. Oh, just another thing you should know as well. These are nicotine, because I used to smoke cigarettes and I quit years ago, but I still take them. They're just like little mints, in case you're ever wondering. And this is tea. But do I watch UFC? Yeah, I'll watch I don't know, if McGregor is fighting, I'll watch that, or that's pretty much it really. And maybe around the time if he was fighting, I'd kind of generally develop an interest or a taste for and watch a bit more, you know, some videos of old fights and stuff. But like as a constant feature in my life, nah. Favorite director or film? Hard to say. I don't think about it too much. Like, my favorite film is probably, I can't say. There's no way. I like Barry Lyndon. That's probably the most like like if you're to think of it like a painting, like it's a lovely film, beautiful film, by Stanley Kubrick. But is it my favorite? Like the one I would put on frequently and watch? I don't know. I'm a bit of a normie. Like if you put on, I don't know, The Dark Knight or something like that. If I haven't seen it in a while, I'll be enjoying myself. Whereas if I put on Barry Lyndon, I it depends on what mood you're in. Like, but my favorite one, hard to say. Favorite director, it's not Martin Scorsese, although it could potentially be him, as cliched as that is to say. Besides that, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I don't nerd out on that too much, so it's hard to say. Have I ever been overseas? Yes, a couple of times. No. So that was the last one. Have I ever been overseas? I've got a fair few viewers, like for this. I mean, yeah, Kubrick. I don't know that much about. It's like stuff like The Shining and the space one, Space Odyssey. I know they're very good, and if I watch it, I would appreciate. Yeah, they're masterfully good looking and all of that kind of stuff. But do I enjoy them? Meh. Barry Lyndon is probably my favorite of those. It's actually quite entertaining as well. Apparently, the French are saying nicotine helps to suppress the virus. So that'll be good. So I'll be in good. I mean, I take a lot of these. I probably consume more nicotine via these than I did when I was smoking. Swap one habit for another. I'm trying to think of other films. What guitar do I have? It's called I don't know what it's called. Again, I'm not very hip in that sense. Like I'm not very, I don't know. I just don't know what it's called. I bought it years ago. I like it. It's an acoustic, just a standard enough acoustic guitar. Probably like not crappy, but not like the most expensive thing you could buy either. Kind of mid range. Someone says put the name of my knitwear in the comment section. Okay, Ross, I'll do that for you now. Your wish is my command and all that jazz. Seriously, they're very, very good. I'd love to get more of them because I'm going to switch to the other chat now, the StreamYard one, so I can see what's going on a bit better. But these, like, I've always wanted to wear a woolly jumper. You think I'd like to wear one of them. But maybe they're a bit old, they're a bit cringe, or they don't fit very well, or they're just big and baggy and kind of badly fitting. But so you walk into these tourist shops with the big iron sweater things, and I think I'd like if it looked good on me. I'd like if I was happy wearing it. But I put them on and I feel like a numpty. They just don't look right. But these ones are excellent. I hope I get paid here by Rossen for advertising the jumpers. So the last thing I saw there is, have I been overseas? Jesus. Someone says favorite non-pornographic movie. Is that well, that would be Barry Lyndon as well, I suppose. Porn is sinful, Porn is very, very bad for people. Disavow it. But it's actually kind of shocking that it's legal in a way. How it's like tolerated, like how it doesn't get the pitchfork treatment, like the villagers with the pitchfork treatment. Basically, I mean, it would kind of be justified. You couldn't say that it was. How could anybody call that repressive? It's just like reasonable. What else have we got? I'm kind of trying to stick to the favorite questions. Favorite this, favorite that. Chopper says, I've always wanted to wear a woolly jumper. Gerald Murphy, April 2020. No, but when I was a young fella, I just I don't know. You're like, they just feel like you don't feel you're writing them or something. You're just not of a certain maturity to feel like they're appropriate to wear or whatever. So like just at a certain point, I stumbled across this one, tried it on, and I was like, yes, I have come of woolly jumper age. how delightful type of thing. That's where I was at. So that explains that quote. What else have we got? Yeah. Have you ran out of questions for me, lads, or what? Keep me going. Feed the beast. I interrupt my rambling because my guest is in the house. I have with me Morris. He can tell me if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Morris or Maurice? Morris, yeah.
Only the French call me Maurice.
Yeah, Maurice. It's like the song. There's a song with Maurice in it. So Morris. Thanks for joining me. So the basic story. I've been telling the lads I don't know anything about Cahersiveen. What's gone on? Can you take us back to the start of? Also, welcome and thanks for joining me. By the way, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Basically, what happened is that about 4 or 5 weeks ago, the locals were notified on a Saturday that there was 150 refugees coming into the Skellig Star Hotel on Monday, right? And the reason that there was no meeting or anything like that is because of COVID-19. So the refugees were brought down to the hotel under the pretense of COVID-19. Now, the refugees themselves have said they were the same as us. They were only given 24 hours notice that they were moving from Dublin down to Kerry. So, of course, when the locals heard about it, they weren't happy because there was no discussion or anything like that with the locals. So on the Monday, they brought down, I think it was 53 or 63 refugees in one big bus and 2 minibuses. And of course, there was a couple of the locals there that they held out the banners just to make them feel welcome. Now, let's make this clear now. It is not the fact that they're refugees. It's the way it was done.
Gotcha.
Right?
And and so that was all done. So 24 hours, and that was around the time when the lockdown was happening.
Just before the lockdown. Yeah. I think it was about 2 weeks before the lockdown.
Has there been what's the opposition been like? Has there been any meetings, any town halls? And I suppose there hasn't, obviously, because of the lockdown. Yeah. So people have had no opportunity to organize or gather or protest in any way. Have you?
No. People have had no choice in the matter in Cahersiveen because it was used as under the pretense of COVID-19 to put them down here. No, I mean, like, as I keep telling people, and I don't care if people believe me or not, but this was not today or yesterday that this was organized. Do you know, because in January, Minister Flanagan said that there was no plans at all for Cahersiveen to be used as a refugee, what you call a detention center, right? And then a couple of months later, about 2 months later, they were inside in town here, 50, 63 of them, first of all. Then a week later, they came around 10 o'clock at night and 10:30 and brought in another 50 to 60 refugees under darkness, right? Yeah. So you see, and I mean, like, it's not only the locals that are going mad over this, it's actually the refugees themselves. No, because if you add up the figures, there's only 56 rooms in that hotel, right? So you have, I suppose you have 110, maybe 115 refugees in there. So you do the maths, or anybody do the maths.
Yeah.
They're
so you're talking
on top of each other.
Yeah. I mean, was there any reason given for sending them down so quickly or without notice? Did they give any excuse?
The government said because it was to protect them from COVID-19.
Okay. And you were saying it's probably 2 odd to a room, maybe 2 to a room anyway, given the Skellig Hotel's capacity. Like you
Well,
said, yeah,
you could be talking 3 to a room or 4 to a room, because I mean, like,
yeah,
if there's only 56 bedrooms there,
yeah,
you know, like, you're going to have a family in one of them, say 2 men and, a man woman, or
yeah.
you know, like, or man or woman, doesn't matter these
Hmm.
days. But at the end of the day, you could have maybe 2 kids inside, and these are teenagers.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, inside with their parents, or they
Yeah.
could have 3 kids, so you could have 5 to a room. You don't know, because
And
nobody is saying nothing.
any indication on the kind of split? Like, so you have men, women, and children. Those are the kind of 3 categories. Is there any word on? Is it mostly men, mostly women, mostly children, or are people none the wiser?
People are none the wiser,
Okay.
because we haven't been told.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it is a worry with COVID. A lot of towns out west weren't accepting people, or not accepting, but they didn't want people coming to their holiday homes. Out in the west, I saw a lot of that going on in Clare, Galway, Mayo. To have 120 people dumped on you. Do you have anyone standing up for you? Any politicians, or are they all in agreement with it?
No, this is the thing that gets me, is that they were all over us like a rash during the elections, promising us this and promising us that. And the only one that I've ever seen really commenting on it is Councillor Michael Cahill.
Okay.
So you don't have any of the TDs. Now, the TDs came out in the last couple of days, because I made a couple of videos about it. And they came out the last couple of days saying that they were getting the centre tested, because there was, at that stage, there was 5 confirmed cases of COVID-19. And they were allowed out of the hotel and walk around the place, right?
Wow.
Even though the hotel was infected. So
That's
then,
a mess. No, go carry on.
So then we find out today in the Kerosene that there's actually 7 cases of COVID-19. But they had a meeting today, the Alliance of Cahersiveen had a meeting today with Pa Daly, and he rose up on Facebook there somewhere that the refugee centre down here wasn't fit for purpose. Now, we could have told them that before they decide to bring in 120 odd refugees into the place. But
And do you think?
Sorry, go on.
Do you think they knew about it beforehand?
Oh, definitely. I mean, like, I don't think the locals knew, but I do think the TDs did know.
And we're talking like a lot of people in the chat are asking as well, because of the kind of Kerry celebrities, the Healy Rays. Are they?
There wasn't a word out of them.
Okay.
There wasn't, except for 2 days ago when they told us that they got the refugees tested. They're going to get them tested. And that was over the last 2 days. And that's the only time we ever heard from them.
Wait, like, is there obviously now, you know, Cahersiveen is a welcoming place to any kind of person, generally speaking. But do you think there's some people there who are kind of maybe activists? I've noticed that in other communities, there's activists who are kind of it's a so-called welcoming committee that are kind of set up who to kind of take charge of it and call everybody else in the town who have any kind of problem with it a racist or this or that, when obviously people are just normal and have good intentions. But do you notice any of that kind of local activists?
Well, not really. I mean, like, I mean, most people, I mean, the majority of the people didn't mind the refugees coming if it was done in the right way.
Yeah. What would the right way be?
The right way is to sit down, have a meeting, and then you could actually tell the feelings of people. Because you see, because it's such a small community, right? People are afraid to speak their minds, right? Yeah. Because, as you just said there, they're called racists. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that, or they're bigots, and they're this and they're that. But if there was a public meeting held, then everybody would have got their chance to actually say what they felt. But it was actually the way it was actually done was the problem.
No say.
No say at all. And apparently now we're going to have them for a year. There's a year's contract. But we don't know now if that's going to be kept now because of Pat Daly Sinn Féin saying that it's not fit for purpose.
Yeah. Well, if Ballahadreen has anything to go by, these contracts can get renewed very easily. Like, they tend to do that, just in my experience of it. But I mean, between this, they say they have to put them somewhere, but you don't see them going to Dalkey in Dublin, posh Dalkey or posh Killiney. I don't know if you saw, but Killiney, you got given 120 people, 6 of whom have COVID, and Killiney got Matt Damon. I don't know if you saw.
No,
so they have a few
didn't.
They have celebrities running around the place, and you get given this. So it's just when they say they have to go somewhere, they have to go somewhere far off outside of the elite parts of Dublin and all of these places, for you to take care of.
Yeah, but you see, I mean, like, you could flip the coin there and say, hang on a second, there's 10,000 Irish homeless, women and children. If you're able to find hotels for refugees, why can't you find hotels for the homeless?
Yeah.
I mean, like Flanagan came out there a couple of days ago that he secured another 996 beds for refugees. But yet there is no word about the homeless. And I'm not saying that the refugees are not entitled to a place to stay, but it should have been done with the community involvement.
Well, the other thing as well is that they're taking applications from Georgia and Albania and all sorts of places. I mean, the people, anybody who's coming to Ireland as a genuine asylum seeker, someone who is genuinely fleeing for their life, is getting, I'll just put it frankly, they're getting fucked over by the spoofers. And I know you don't want to be taken the wrong way yourself or whatever, but I'll say it is that, you have genuine ones and you have spoofers, obviously, right? Like any system. And, the government, if they wanted to, could kind of thin the herd a little bit by eliminating some of the ones that are obviously not legitimate. They could do that if they wanted to. Having an these countries are deemed safe countries by the EU, by Ireland, by everyone. So, you could say probably half your problem, 80% of the problem, or I don't want to call it a problem, but the people who need accommodation could have their status rejected very quickly if they wanted to.
But then that wouldn't suit the government. Somebody told me the other day that I think it's 130,000 a year to keep one refugee in Ireland. Now, it is not about housing the refugees as far as I'm concerned. It's about the money that people are making. They don't give a shite whether they live in tents, right? But it's about the money. If you follow the money, you'll follow the corruption.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what it's all about.
And I don't want to name names too much or whatever, but the hotel, was it a functioning, operating hotel up until it was being used, or was it laying idle?
No, it was a functioning hotel. And then they had a boiler fire, a fire in the boiler. And then they shut it down to fix that. And then I know my missus, she kept ringing them because we had, we were members of the pool. So when they shut down, she kept ringing them. They said, we'll be opened in April. This is what management told her. We thought it'd be opened in April. The next thing we find out that it's a refugee centre within 24 hours.
And so can I just out of interest, this boiler incident, when did this, was this a year ago or a few months ago they had the boiler trouble?
It would be around the Christmas time. Around Christmas, January.
Not very long ago. I don't want to make allegations against anyone or whatever because I don't know, but that sounds very convenient to me. You see this a lot around towns in Ireland. They will find an excuse to close it. If the figures are better for what the government can give them than they can get for whatever they can in their business, they'll take it. So I've seen this all over the place. So again, without naming names too much, are the owners of this establishment local to the area, or?
No, they're not. They're not local.
Not at all local to Kerry.
No, apparently he's 4, 5, 6, 7 hotels. I don't know. Apparently he's a lot of hotels, and this is his business. He's buying up hotels and putting them as refugee centres.
Yeah, the asylum industry.
Yeah, that's as far as I know, or what I've been told.
Yeah,
and I mean, like, if you look at it, look, the refugees don't even want to be here. I mean, like, they had signs all over their windows in the front of the hotel asking the government to make them legal the way they can work and to get them out of there. So, I mean, like, there was pictures taken the other day. I don't know, did you hear about the assault that was in the town?
No, tell me.
But this local fella, he works freelance, and he was down on the main road taking pictures of the signs and everything else. And one security man came out, and he was about that close away from his face. He didn't give a shit about COVID-19. So I was happening to pass, and I stopped the car and I got out. And your man kept telling him, "Will you back off 6 feet, please?" Your man wouldn't back off, so I said, "Listen, back the fuck off 6 feet. Leave him alone."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so I was called white trash. I was called white trash. I was called a cocksucker, a motherfucker, and a son of a bitch by this security fella. Yeah. And the next thing was, he kept coming into my face. I told him to back off. He went into the other fella's face and then finally drew him a kick.
Oh.
Do you know? So we called the guards anyway, and the guards came and they told me to go away and they told him to go away, and they had a chat with the security fella. Do you know? But luckily enough, it was in the Kerry man there, or the Kerry's eye, about the assault below at the refugee centre.
Okay.
Do you know? Because
so it was documented.
Yeah, there was no. They didn't want any pictures of the hotel being taken because of the signs on the windows.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, they don't want to be in. I mean, I'd happily swap with them, to be honest. I'd like to go. I'd consider it a nice place, but I don't think it's quite what they had in mind when they set off on their journey. To end up being put in Cahersiveen. Can I ask you just a little bit about Cahersiveen? It's what's the population like? 1,000 odd?
1,000, maybe 1,200 or 300, something like that. It's a very small community.
And what do you like for schools and for various things like that?
Actually, the hotel is actually across from the school.
Oh, okay.
It's actually a secondary school. Primary.
Okay.
It's actually straight across from the primary school.
Wow.
And a lot of the parents aren't happy that they're right across from the primary school.
Yeah.
And I think that was an awful shock to a lot of people in town. Because I mean, like, we all send our children because it's the only primary school in town. And then to find out within 24 hours that you have 150 refugees going into the hotel, it sparks alarm bells. Because you don't know who they are, where they came from. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't know, have they got records or they don't have records. We don't know nothing about the people.
Yeah.
And this is another reason why the locals aren't happy, especially the parents of children. And now the shops aren't happy because of nobody told them that there was an infection going on below in the hotel. It was found out by accident. And then the minute it was found out, the 4 people that were infected were brought away to Cork. And now you have another 3 infected below.
Of course, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
By the time you take those 3 new infected down to Cork as well, it's just the next 3 or 4 to be announced infected are probably already infected, but it has there's an incubation period.
Yeah.
So at this point, with the whole lot of them, it's anybody's guess. So that's where the position they've put you in now.
Well, you see, they put us in a position where that when they didn't tell us is that the people that were infected and the people that are infected were walking around the town, in and out of shops. And this is another thing, the locals. This is why the locals had a meeting with the owner of the hotel. And they tried to get it locked down, keep them all inside there until it passes.
Yeah.
But according to the law, or the owner, the law states that he can't lock them in. You can't lock them down. Right?
That's interesting. Yeah.
So they were allowed to go free. And I don't know if these people were infected or not. I don't know. But I mean, like, there's a lot of vulnerable people in Cahersiveen, you know, like, because it's mainly an aging population and it's mainly family orientated, you know, because it's a great place to rear your children, you know,
I'd say so.
And a lot of people are scared.
Yeah.
No, and the people are trying to do the best they can. The people that are in this Cahersiveen Alliance, they're trying to do the best they can. But there's only so much they can do because Flanagan won't move, and neither will the owner of the hotel.
And you said Cahersiveen Alliance, did you?
Yeah, they're Cahersiveen Business Alliance. I suppose they're all the businesses that get together and do, you know, kind of fun, tidy towns. I don't know much about it because, to tell you the truth, I only heard about it there about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
About this alliance. So I don't even know who's on it and who's not on it.
Yeah.
Do you know?
That's interesting. I'm sure it's probably, it sounds to me like that's got the best interests of the town at heart, probably. So long as it's not once they start calling themselves, and again, I'm sure everyone in Cahersiveen is very welcoming. It's not about the word welcoming. Anybody can use a word. Everybody agrees with welcoming people. But when you see a group called Cahersiveen says welcomes or whatever, they are always in contact with the Department of Justice, as far in my experience anyway, and they're there to kind of smooth it over, and kind of subtly kind of imply that everybody else is a racist and kind of bring everybody along with it, while also kind of scaring people a little bit too. That's just my experience. So.
Well. In fairness now to these people, I mean, like, one of them put an open letter on the page, and I mean, like, they were as shocked as the locals were about the refugees coming in within 48 hours of the hotel reopening. They knew nothing about it.
Yeah, no, this Cahersiveen Alliance, that sounds to me like it's probably, again, I hardly have a right to speak on it. I don't know anyone involved in any of this, but just to my mind, that sounds like a legitimate, fully honest group, probably.
Well,
right?
they are.
It's just,
no, I mean, like,
it's just when you hear I'm just saying when you hear the word welcome, when you hear of the welcome committee, they're the ones to be worried about. I'd say the other guys are fine, you know.
Well, in fairness, there was only two welcoming them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There was only two people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I wouldn't class them as a group. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They made up the signs and they put them outside the hotel. You didn't see any other local there.
Yeah.
Except for them two.
And very often the people who do that, and again, it's nothing to do with not wanting to welcome. It's not that. It's something different. That's only the face they put on it. But very often those people are not quite locals. I don't know about these people. I don't want to name them or anything. But usually in my experience, the people who do that are not the most local. And I don't know about Cahersiveen now. Could be different.
Well, like, I can tell you that you'll be 100% right there.
Imagine that.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but again, the Business Alliance are volunteers from what I read in the letter today, and they are actually trying to get the hotel shut down because of it's not fit for purpose.
Yeah.
Do you know? And then they were supposed to carry in another. They were supposed to bring in 150 altogether. And remember now as well that there's flats at the back of that hotel. That can, there's, I mean, like, I suppose there could be something like 20 units of flats behind the hotel, but they haven't got to them yet. So maybe what they were thinking of, we'll start with the hotel, then we'll start moving them back into the flats. So you could basically have nearly 300 to 400 here.
And I wouldn't put it past them either. They'd do that to you in a heartbeat. So they would.
But you see, this is the thing about it. What I find is all they wanted to do was shift the problem from one place to another place, and that's what they seem to be doing all the time.
Yeah,
well, and I presume what they're doing too is shifting them from hotels that are worth money in Dublin, the way they can sell them, and shift them down to the likes of Cahersiveen, where the hotel wouldn't be worth as much money.
Bingo.
Get them out in Dublin, put them back here.
Yeah, and make it more profitable for the whatever Gombeen you happens to own the hotel. Make it more profitable for him to run it as an asylum place than a hotel. So it's basically destroying your local area in its own way, as in not only by, even if you're to completely have no problem at all with the people coming, that's people's business. But the other thing is that you're losing on a hotel, you're losing on tourism and all of these kind of things. So you're getting shafted both directions, basically. The other thing as well, to me, if I may, is that if living in a city has its benefits, you have more stadiums, more this, more that. You've a lot. It has a lot going for it. But then on the countryside has a lot going for it as well. Places like Cahersiveen are off rural, and the advantages are, I would have thought, of living way off in the west is that if something like a pandemic happens, well, at least you don't have to get the worst of it. You can kind of escape it, basically. And that's the downside of living in a city. If something like this happens, you're kind of in the center of it. But lo and behold, they ship hundreds of people down to you just as it gets started. It just strikes me as like that. You would have thought that's one of the securities of living in rural Ireland, is that you have your own community and everybody can, you're not going to have stuff like this spread. You can trust everybody in the community is on the same page and on the same level. And the fact that they're just kind of destroying that via bringing these people in now with the virus, because I mean, I would you agree that there's a good chance Cahersiveen could have remained virus free without people coming in like that? Probably,
probably. But I mean, like, I'd say we would have got one or two cases, right? But the people would have isolated themselves, do you know, like, and it mightn't have spread as much as it has now with 7 people. Do you know what I mean? Because these people are in a squashed accommodation. But you see, again, when the refugees came down, I met 2 of them outside a shop in town, and one of them turned around, and I just saluted him, and he turned around and he says to me, "How do I get out of here?" Right?
Oh dear, yeah.
And I said, "There's a bus that you can get," and his partner was with him. And then I said, "The nearest place is 40 miles. He said, "You mean there's a bus in Cahersiveen?" I said, "There is." And I said, "Once you get to Killarney, there's a train, right? So that'll bring you back to Dublin." But you see, the other fact is that most of these refugees have been here 6 and 7 years in Ireland. Now, they're used to the hustle and bustle of the city. As you said, they're used to cinemas, they're used to big shops, everything else. Now, imagine the culture shock for them coming down to Cahersiveen, where your nearest pennies is 40 miles away.
It's tough going. Yeah.
Now, there's actually nothing in Cahersiveen for them. There's even nothing for us. There's no cinema. There's no big pennies, Dunn's, Tesco's. Aldi's is supposed to be coming next year. So, I mean, like, you're shoving them out of their own environment that they were happy in Dublin down to a place where there's nothing except the local community that are trying to keep ourselves safe, and our children and our old people. And yet the government do this to us.
Yeah, it's bad enough. I mean, I suppose I think we could probably leave it there. Any other thoughts on it? Or has anything else happened that comes to mind? Because again, I'm new to the story, so it's all news to me.
No, nothing else is happening except Pa Daly came down today and had a chat with the owner of the hotel, with the Business Alliance, and he wrote up a statement that the hotel is not fit for purpose after talking to the refugees.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
and he's going to write to the Minister Flanagan to tell him that the place isn't fit for purpose.
And do you think Charlie Flanagan will listen to him?
Listen to me. The government will listen to nobody except do whatever they want. They'll feed you a pile of, as I said it there in the video, they'll feed you a pile of bullshit, and they'll expect you to eat it. And it's as simple as that. They'll tell you anything to get them around the next corner.
Yeah.
And what I'm afraid of now is that there's another hotel out in Derrynane that's empty, that they might buy that place as well and put more refugees out there. And that's even worse than Cahersiveen. Because that's, what's that? That's nearly 25 miles away from Cahersiveen, out in the middle of nowhere.
Even from Cahersiveen perspective.
even from Cahersiveen perspective, it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. That's so the peninsula. So you're in the peninsula beneath Dingle, whatever that one's called, out towards out past Kenmare and all of that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's just before Sneem and Cardaniel.
Yeah, gotcha. I know now.
There's a big hotel in smack bang in the middle, and that's empty now at the moment as well. And there's talks that they might be put there as well.
And the question is as well, how long does this go on for? You know, the idea of taking in a few people for special circumstances or whatever has always been acceptable to most normal people, but the idea that it just goes on and on, it's Cahersiveen, then it's the next one. At a certain point, we won't have a rural hotel left in the country, or an Irish kind of normal Irish town at a certain point won't be left. I mean, if you've every second building is getting colonized by Fine Gael's blessings, that they and of course these guys don't want it in Dublin. Like I say, South Dublin, D4, they won't have it. But at what point does it stop? At what point, when a town says no? I'm sure you've seen Ruski and Uachtarard and Maville and all of these towns. At what point does rural Ireland have a say at all? Like, I do wonder.
But you see, rural Ireland, as you can see from what they did in Cahersiveen, rural Ireland have no say at all. It was used, the pretense of COVID-19 was used to get them down here. And then, as I said, once they had, I think it was 63 of them, first of all, and then under the cover of night, they brought in another busload without anybody knowing about it, except some woman was looking out her window and took a picture of the bus at 10 o'clock at night. And that's how we found out that there was another bus there.
Yeah. It's like North Korea or something. And absolutely no rights, no say, no nothing.
Basically.
Yeah. Come here, I'll leave it there. I really appreciate it. I hope people will follow the story now a bit more as it goes, and basically wish you the best. And anybody as well, I'm sure you have a good tourism business as well of your own, maybe no hotel now, but you always appreciate a tourist during the summer, I suppose, don't you? We can recommend people here. Yeah, so we'll all be heading down. I will anyway. Once this pandemic lifts, I'll be giving it a visit. So yeah, I might give you a shout. Go for
I tell you, Gerald, it's a beautiful countryside. You couldn't ask for anything better.
God's gift.
But the government should actually, I call it God's paradise with the views. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the town is quite welcoming if everything was done proper.
Sounds fair to me. Sounds reasonable. All right, Maurice, thanks very much for joining me. I'll let you go there and I'll say goodbye to the lads. All right. I take care of yourself.
All right, thank you, lad. All right, good luck.
So that was Maurice, lads. I'm going to stay on just for a sec, just to say goodbye to you, just because I want to kind of I'll do subscribe to me, blah blah blah, and all that. I don't want to bore. Maurice is not the type of man, I'd say, who wants to listen to me shiting on about this kind of stuff. So I now have a video with half an hour of me answering random questions. I'll either have to edit it or I might just leave it as is. And so to anybody who kind of had to skip through that, sorry about that, but it's all good. So I'll be back tomorrow night, hopefully, all things going well. And if not Friday, all things going well this tomorrow, I'll do the submission review or kind of conversation about that. I've been looking forward to doing that, and I want to talk to someone about it too. That feeling where you want to kind of discuss a thing with someone. So I'm looking forward to that. So if not tomorrow, I'll do something else tomorrow and whatever. But hopefully that'll be the case. So point being, tomorrow evening, sometime around 9 or 10. I'll let you know on Twitter, or maybe around in the afternoon or evening, what time we'll be doing that. So for any of you who've read that book, you're welcome. And if you haven't, spoiler alert or whatever. So I appreciate that. I've given my thoughts on the asylum industry. There's no point me concluding anything off Morris has said. You can see my asylum industry video. I've milked that cow. The NGOs are going to use that phrase against me. I've said everything I have to say about it, basically. On that topic, there is no new thing for me to say, which is kind of the sad part. It's kind of what would you say? It just is what it is now. So anyway, someone says, Zav says, stay on for fuck's sake. So what am I going to say to you lads? Although I do have 170 of you there, what should I be doing? Jamie Maragini says, please don't go. Lads. You gotta love the Kerry accent as well. I'm a big fan. I'll take that accent over an Americanized. Maybe my own is the same way, Americanized, I don't know. But solid Kerry man. God, the Kerry man. Solid Kerry man. You can always, you can always kind of take them as being straightforward and not wanky and and Don says NGOs are GHEY, gay, whatever that means. I don't know what this word means, but someone says TikTok dance. I could do a TikTok dance. What's that? I have no idea. I'm an old boomer, like. So yeah, that's basically the mindset. So I'm thinking submission tomorrow night, and that'll be good. I'm going to leave it there. I have a few bits to do as well before I go to bed. So yeah, I will say Slán, agus Ihawa. Yeah, that's basically it. See you tomorrow, lads. Thanks for watching.